Depends how good the teleportation
Are you the same person?
why are you bringing philosophy into
it's
my
a good question.
League of Legends?
Let's get into draft. Alright, so bans coming out from Karmine Corp, as you say, as we talked about, Rogue have picked the red side. Karmine Corp will get rid of Pantheon and Maokai. Rumble removed by Rogue. We'll see if they go down the same with the Jayce ban.
Rogue really prioritizing Canna pick for Adam. He has been very lane dominant, and in fairness, if you give Canna a winning lane, you lose games of League of Legends. So I understand the logic there. How much else do you give up for that, though? Right now, Vi, I mean, it is Yikes of the Vi, I suppose, not the biggest bad to give over. I know, memes aside. However, giving over something like a Jayce, which I assume is the last ban, well, it's not even that. Well, what happens if there's a Jayce now? Just kind of shred people with that.
Is it Vi Jayce? I mean, the question is, do Rogue want to play Jayce even if it's open, right? Adam, I mean,
if we go by arcane logic, if they lock in Vi and Jayce, it is like the worst combo in the arcane like main characters. The fail duo.
I do like the Taliyah ban because the Azir has already been played, and like Azir is kind of the best into Taliyah generally. So getting rid of that Taliyah, making sure Vladi can't get it, does make sense from Rogue. But as you say, it gives Canna his Jayce, which he has won both his games on. And I will say, all statistics for Karmine Corp are kind of made up because they've won most of their games.
True.
So it's a little bit like, oh, he has a 100% win rate on this champion, but he also has a 100% win rate on Renekton, you know? Like, does that mean anything?
I mean, it does look a little bit different. It's like, wow, you've got a 100% win rate when, like, Caliste had, like, 10 kill Kai'Sa games or something like that.
Exactly.
And
like Jayce, Canna is very good on the Jayce, we'll say that. Sin and the Viktor are the locks for Rogue, so strong mid laner that can dominate lane if he gets ahead, and then the Sin are very good at skirmishing. Karmine Corp currently looking, well, they're hovering Shen.
It was hovered by Adam before this, because Shen is ridiculously powerful. Was played in our first series as well. That champion is very, very strong right now. We do actually have the Jayce fight
collective groans from the audience, guys. I'm on your side, okay?
And the Akali as well. So not only are we fighting against the Yike Vi curse, it's also, I guess, the arcane Vi Jayce nerf as well. They did nothing good on screen together. It really
They had that one fight in the mines. In the oil thing.
I think there were things which went wrong there too.
There were a few things that went
speaking.
wrong there. I mean, sure, but you know, the kids yearn for them. That's all I'm gonna say. Kids yearn for the mines. Akali is the second lock, as you said.
2 steps away from chicken jockey, and I'm very afraid of it. Kai'Sa locks in.
I just hope the audience doesn't start throwing popcorn at us. Kai'Sa is the final lock-in, as you say, for Rogue. So they have their AD, their mid, and their jungle, whereas on Karmine Corp side, they've gone mid, jungle, and top lane to kick us off. For
me, the Kai'Sa is a takeaway from the other comp, because if you're diving in not just with Akali, but then also a Kai'Sa flying through, which we know Caliste is disgusting at. That's a lot of inception there. If the Kai'Sa came in as well, no one is surviving that. The Viktor gets immediately blown up. I don't care if you build his Zhonya's later, you don't get to play the game. So while the Kai'Sa, I don't think it fits really with the Viktor as a double backline carry duo, and I don't think it necessarily fits with the Xin Zhao. It does stop the worst case scenario from KC, locking that in, having a massive dive comp onto you.
Makes a lot of sense to get rid of that. Sion banned away by Karmine Corp. They're just trying to get rid of things that have okay matchups into the Jayce or can survive into the Jayce. Nautilus removed by Rogue. Again, something that really facilitates diving onto that backline. Nautilus is so good at that. Leona does fit a similar wheelhouse and has non-committal engage with the Solar Flare. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Rogue picking up an early Leona, or I'd say early R4 Leona. Karmine Corp are going to get rid of Nico.
Very lane dominant. You can often carry the Kai'Sa through lane if you're against a more lane dominant AD carry. I mean, obviously, we would have seen something like a Jinna and a map into that as lane dominance before that. Something like the Rakan can also do a decent job, can heal you up through that laning phase. Of course, you probably know more about Rakan than me, actually, with your time spent.
I know a little bit about Rakan.
You know a little bit about that champion. You know what? They would have loved to have something like a Poppy here.
Yeah.
Not available because of that first game. That is the nature of Fearless. Same kind of thing with Taliyah, right? Against the double, I guess technically triple dash champion would have been really nice.
If I'm Karmine Corp, I really don't mind Caliste here. I think it's a little bit short range, but Caliste on Caliste is very good. You've already got the Ashe band away. You are just looking for a ton of damage, and Fate's Call gives you the ability to get the support onto the backline anyway if you're going for that dive. Doesn't have as much self-heal, where something like a Poppy would be really strong, so maybe they won't go towards it, but I wouldn't mind a Caliste at all.
But he's also, I believe this split, maybe not this year, definitely not this year, but this split, Caliste is actually unkilled on the champion.
Oh, wow.
With the Alistar coming through, it feels like they're kind of maybe sacking lane a little bit and saying, look, we just want to get through the laning phase, and it's the Zeri for Caliste, a champion which he did so much damage on in the ERLs when he was on Karmine Corp down at that level.
Actually, his most played across the course of his career, but it has a lower win rate than his career win rate. Therefore, he's bad on the champion.
That's the way it works. Oh, we get ourselves. Is that locked? That's the
Yorick. It's Yorick.
We get the Yorick.
Let's go! I love Yorick.
We have had a lot of Yorick over in LPL. It hasn't really caught on elsewhere, but the whole idea about Yorick into Jayce is that if you hit the morning mist, that goop you throw out with the E, Jayce hates life. Yorick is one of the most obnoxious 1v1 champions of the game. Has a ton of sustain through from his Q, the last rights. Has a ton of ability to get towers killed as well. If you leave him alone in a side lane, you die. Yeah. So there are a couple of things you can't do. If you get hit by the Morning Mist, that's bad. If you get hit by the Dark Procession, which is the little cage around you, that's even worse.
Yep.
Canna has to play out this individual matchup very, very well. This is probably the hardest Jayce matchup in the meta.
It's so strong. I've loved Yorick since his changes where he was playable in jungle
Yorick
as well.
Mori?
I remember, I mean, the good old days of Yorick. He was really powerful. But also, obviously, you have the Eulogy of the Isles where you can apply less pressure into lanes that you're not playing in. You can put your Maiden to work running down towards the bottom lane. You do become Maidenless in that situation, obviously, but it gives you an extra point of pressure on the map. I've been very excited to see a Yorick come out in the LEC. And we see Adam bringing it out in this game. I hope... I'm trying to remember if we've seen one at all so far in LEC.
It doesn't spring to mind. See whether works out for Adam. It has always been about that lane pressure at various points of his career. The decks were asking for gods. This seems a little bit antithetical to that one. Yorick a little bit more morbid. You're down the river Styx as the Undertaker.
It's our first Yorick of the LEC. So good memory from both of us, although bad memory for not 100% memory. Middling memory. That's what we are here for.
Oh my god, it's Andre in the LEC. Where did he get here?
Oh, well, we have Canna. We might as well have Vladi, right?
Yeah.
Canna on that Jayce will have a little bit of struggle into Adam. Adam's running Grasp. You do sometimes see Yorick's go for the Conqueror just because your ghouls can stack it up for you really quickly, but Grasp gives you a little bit more sustain in the lane, and obviously if you want to be trading with the Jayce, having that Grasp is very solid.
Often what we've seen as well, again, this is a matchup we've seen a ton in the LPL because Jayce is kind of first pick ban over there. Yorick's become the de facto answer towards it. What you often will see is the Jayce have to go forward towards full lethality. If you go towards Shojin or Black Cleaver, you don't win the extended fight. You must go for burst, take short trades, and make sure the Yorick just never hits you.
Yeah.
So you're not likely to see more of the Bruiser from Canna. Of course, we'll track that build as it goes through, but that's the logic that I've seen elsewhere in the world.
Let's see. Well, I'm going to have a lot of looks towards that top side. I'm wondering if Adam will put extra points in the W early as well to make it so it's 3 auto attacks to kill the wall instead of just the 2. Obviously, Canna can just use that ranged form to get the 3 quick auto attacks off, but we'll see. It's going to be an interesting one. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Vladi and Larssen are fighting on a matchup we, again, don't see too often. Vladi coming out on the right side of it for now with that 5-point strike early on. Larssen taking the wrong side of the trip.
Typically, we even see the Akalis go towards the Electrocute right now as well. It's gone towards the Conqueror, which is better for... Well, we'll see if he goes towards the Yorick. Akali doesn't win the 1v1 matchup versus Yorick either, though, because no one really does. It's really important to see if KC can shut down Adam. You want to make sure that he doesn't get free time in lane. And the first level going really well for Canna. This is your point to make sure that the Yorick doesn't have wave control, so drop some XP and things go bad.
Ooh, Targamas going in onto Execute here, who has to flash away. Ignite ticking. Execute does still have the heal. Will be able to survive for the moment. As you say, like Adam, you are still playing ranged into melee. Until you get your ghouls up, until you actually have a way to push that lane out, until you have the goop of the Morning Mist, it's pretty difficult to trade in. One of the trading patterns you'll look for later is hit the Morning Mist. If Canna is in range, you can walk up to him and last rights him. Otherwise, you just use the Morning Mist to force Canna away, and then you clear out the wave as he's running away from your little ghoulies.
And the worst thing about this is that once you do get those ghouls up, you can't even hit your Qs because it hits the ghouls in front of you instead. One of the big changes to Yorick and why we saw more of him is that his ghouls are more consistent to bring up and they are harder to kill as well. I think they do a little bit less DPS. Also, this patch, this is actually nerfed Yorick. We didn't see the strongest form of it. where your E was doing a little bit more damage, which is crazy to think. Your E was doing more damage.
So
then
strong.
we will see what this champion hopefully can do later on. Fan of the champion when it starts getting ahead. One of the real masters of 1vXs, where you get 3 champions in your lane. Not right now though, and Yike is doing exactly what you need to do. Go towards the Yorick before they really have that power.
Get up towards this top side. Adam will heal up a little bit with that Doran shield, but it's going to be difficult for him to get his ghouls up in time. If you land your Morning Mist, the ghouls that are on the ground will spawn automatically and chase that target, but otherwise you need 3 of those graves. You see that little pink thing standing next to Canna? That's a grave. You need 3 of those to be able to spawn your ghouls. Here we go. They go for the tower dive. Canna goes in first. Dark Possession. Canna's locked under the tower. It will be a 1-for-1. In the exchange, a plate falls as well for Karmine Corp.
Yeah, so the problem here now is kill went over to the Yorick and not to the Jayce. So the individual matchup going the side of Rogue. That is a problem. Adam will be able to teleport back towards that lane, get himself a combat item, gets himself a Sheen on the first back. That's a problem for Canna.
Engage happening onto Caliste as well, who uses the barrier, tramples Sun onto Execute into the Pulverize. Execute trying to dance back to Patrik, but can't get close enough. Karmine Corp get a kill in the bot side.
Forgive me for thinking this was a scaling lane. It's got some great combos there from Targamas to punish Execute, who realistically should not be in those sort of positions, caught out very easily. Kind of breaks that cage, but Adam gets some good damage back.
Both of them about half HP. Canna with a little bit of an HP lead has got biscuits and a refillable alongside his tier. He knows where his bread is buttered, needs to be able to survive through this lane. Got for the bone plating as well, which is an interesting choice, maybe for later on in the game. I think the second wind may have been slightly more advantageous than the 1v1. Dark Possession misses as Canna steps to the side and dodges. The wind becomes lightning as well. Canna's been watching some Zeus. He puts on his fancy feet and just dodges away. Is hit with the second wind becomes lightning, but Adam and Malrang will back away.
No boots, slowed, still dodges. Not sure how that manages to happen.
Things, man. Just
kind of things. Misses plane fights and skill shots miss on him.
Yeah. It's, you can't be perfect in every aspect of life. That's what's happening with Canna. Targamas coming across to help Vladi push out this way. Vladi will hit 6. Grub's still a while away from spawning. Remember, the 8-minute timer for them is now the case, and it looks like Targamas is just going to be roaming around the map. Patrik and Execute actually moving out of the lane on the bot side, knowing that they weren't winning out on those trades early doors. There's already a BF sword for Caliste, so he's in a very strong position.
So even though Grubs would have normally spawned at this time before this patch, you can still swap up if you want to avoid the matchup. You still have to lane, true for the first few minutes of the game. That will kind of wear off the the alarm that comes through lane swap detected for a few minutes, and you can escape that matchup just for a little while. Does mean that Adam is going down towards that bot side of the map, and basically the grand scheme of this is just Patrik and Execute get a frozen wave in top side so they can farm safely. They still have the same matchup in top side, but they get a little bit of choice of where they want their wave in the next phase of lane.
Yike and Vladi going to step in towards this topside jungle, just looking for a little bit of vision. They know that the Grubs are really the next objective. Neither of the teams decided to play for an early Drake in Game 1, and that's the case here as well in Game 2. Caliste and Targamas very happy to be in that 2v2 matchup, although Execute has his flash, Patrik has his, and they have enough summers that they should be able to survive to a possible fight attempt. What this does allow Karmine Corp to do, though, is push into this jungle, get pressure down, steal away camps. You don't really want to fight for the Krugs, it's a little deep, but you can still go for it if you're feeling adventurous.
No 6 on Malrang. Nah, okay, alright. Fair play.
It would be really nice if you stole them, right? And stopped him from getting that level 6 before the Grub fight, but unable to do it. Targamas gets the Pulverize, headbutt. Oh, Malrang was just on the wrong side of that. Yike coming in as well for the knock-up. Caliste can't get close enough, but there's the Crescent Guard down, so basically no 6 on Malrang.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem for Rogue, getting pushed back. And all of this comes from the winning bot lane, KC. Yeah. The fact that they overperformed in that laning phase, and I think Execute made some pretty glaring errors there in that early lane, means that Rogue are behind in terms of their support presence on the map. They're behind then in terms of their own jungle presence, which you don't expect when you've got a Xin Zhao this early on, and Rogue will have harder approaches towards objectives.
It's going to be a bit of a sticky wicket for them over the next while.
Is that a cricket thing?
Yeah. It's a sticky wicket. The ball sticks on the wicket. It's hard to play.
Oh, I thought it was like the wicket actually stuck to the thing so it doesn't fall off.
I mean, that's also possible.
That would also be another
I have no idea where the etymology comes from. I just know it rhymes and
You
it
are the person of fun facts, Medic. I expect these things from you.
my facts aren't fun, they're only informative. I'm just here to educate, not entertain. But yeah, so Grub's going over to Karmine Corp. I did want to have a look at how the top lane, bot lane is going. If we get an opportunity to go down to Canna and Adam. Haven't looked at it too much. You see the exchange being made between Yike and Malrang here. Rogue will get the first dragon of the game.
Why must we kill Wildlife? Why must we kill the Wildlife?
Well, Riot tell us to. That's what's happening here. Targamas coming across. Canna and Adam still trading. Dark Procession going down. Canna jumps onto Adam, but that Maiden's going to start doing a lot of work. Malrang dives forward. The follow-up from Execute as well as Canna is the first to fall. Flash over from Vladi, but onto the wrong side. He's going to get chased down by Adam, and Malrang can't quite get close enough. The win becomes likely not going to connect. Good knock-up from Targamas. Execute dashes away. Yike in here with the cease and desist into the trample stun. There's the follow-up. Execute will fall. Vladi almost taken down by the Maiden, but the Maiden dies in time. Yike finds another as Adam goes down. Karmine Corp come out somehow ahead in kills.
About halfway through that fight, I was very convinced Rogue had won that.
Yep, same.
Canna goes down towards the bot side, even though he takes a good trade against the Yorick initially. Grasp plus the Q spam coming through from Yorick is a lot of healing, even at this point in the game. Gets comboed out by a good follow-up from the Execute and Malrang, and then Vladi's low HP, and then suddenly you think, well, surely with this HP advantage and the damaging members of the Jayce and the Akali being low, surely this is it. And then the overstep happens. Yike comes in, has levels. They even bring down Viktor. How did they end up losing so much at the back end of this? Well, this should have been a clean Rogue win.
I think Adam did flash into tower range to land the last rights that didn't do enough damage to kill off Vladi. That probably leads to you not doing quite as much damage in the exchange as you would like. Malrang will start up the dragon again, and with an extra player on this side of the map, Rogue should be able to secure it this time, but Karmine Corp have about a 1,200 gold lead, and again, it's Yike who has that early advantage on this fight, already has the Sundered Sky complete. It has been a problem champion for Karmine Corp and for Yike himself, but here he's off to a very strong early start.
Makes it a little bit easier to play out the game when you get that early windfall towards you. We'll say, though, I mean, one of the leads for Rogue is a net Yorick matchup. It's only a small one, but the fact that Canna couldn't capitalize that early few levels into something that really stuck could become a bit of an issue. I cannot stress enough how ridiculous Yorick is in a side lane situation. It will become a problem. Canna is going towards the Lethality Burst build to try and take short trades away from the Yorick and just don't interact with the Morning Mist. Play around your Shock Blast instead. This game for Rogue, for me, really is on Adam. You must be able to get a side lane advantage. If you don't, it's a problem.
Caliste going in, and won't find too much. Pops the ultimate for it, but crash down. Sorry, not crash down. What's the Zeri ultimate called? Can you
Lightning Crash.
Lightning Crash, that's the one. Thank you. Lightning Crash used. Doesn't really get much more than pushing Patrik away, but with Yike coming across as well, Patrik and Execute will have to give up at least a little bit of damage on towards this tower, so it'll be more gold going into the pockets of Caliste.
The 3 grubs really helping you push with this too. The Zeri getting this much gold is disaster for Rogue, because while you are waiting for the Yorick to get back, why is XQ walking on a turret?
Well, because he can! Because he can! He gets the quickness down!
No, he can't!
Well, no, he could. Just died.
True. Consequences of the actions he has taken. Yeah, that's a head scratcher. Goes under tower.
He's living up to his name.
Yeah, well, no, he didn't, because it wasn't even Execute. Just died.
Ah, true, actually, yeah.
We actually have a term for that in League of Legends.
What, dying?
Yeah, dying without the enemy champions.
Ah, true,
yeah,
yes,
I know.
Yes.
We have all of the technology of words nowadays.
That we do. Kaliste's going to get the first tower of the game. And with it, about a 2,500 gold lead for Karmine Corp. They are in a very solid spot.
Now, for those who watched the start of Kaliste's career down at the ERLs, you'll know this is a problem. It's a problem for any Zeri player, but this is a problem particularly in Kaliste's hands as well. I don't think he's had the best split so far coming back from career and from first stand. I think that even last game, there's some issues around individual play, and I think Patrik outvalued him for portions of that game. Hang on a second, Canna might be jumped
target.
On multiple people here.
Doesn't have flash. There's the Dark Procession, and he's on the wrong side of it. Gravity Well there for the follow-up. Maiden comes down as well, just to make sure that Canna is dead. Rogue will get their third on the board, and all of them in Adam's hands.
Viktor pays Mr. Talus of Viktor a visit in that top side, takes him down, and again, kill over towards that Yorick. Importantly so, that is the win condition from Rogue, especially now. You've just watched that Zeri get so far ahead. That is a huge problem. That Zeri is going to force the issue fairly soon into this game.
Yeah, he's already got the Yuntiles complete. Trinity Force as well for Adam, so the power points of both the teams are well established. For Karmine Corp, Yike is strong, but he's not going to be as powerful as this Zeri when the game gets later. Adam is the power point for Rogue, and he's only about 1,500 gold ahead, but if he is left to his own devices, or his and the Maidens in a side lane, can do a lot of work. Execute here to shadow Larssen. Vladi will take a tower plate and then back away, respecting the fact doesn't really know where Rogue are on the map.
That's the next things up on the map. Next 2 minutes, we've got both objectives on both sides of the map, leading to something. Not really able to get that much on Vladi here. Execute is getting a knocker, and forcing Vladi to play a little bit more respectfully, I suppose. Caliste controlling this mid lane matchup. This Zeri being able to stand on their own and control mid lane on their own is a problem already in its own right. Typically, you expect a Yuntao Zeri to not be able to push in waves nearly as quickly, not have that control, and we might have a fight in the jungle. Yike not pulling the trigger just yet, though. Yeah,
I was looking for the Vault Breaker, but decides not to go in. Canna was still pushing out bot, and Adam had just shown on mid, so they would have been outnumbered until at least the teleport could complete. And Karmine Corp realized they don't really have to force the tempo. Like, they can just scale. You have a very big Zeri, you've got the first 3 grubs, you could just wait. Like, you don't have to be incredibly proactive at this point because you scale well as a lineup as well. There's always a little bit of temptation to like try and make really quick plays, especially into a Viktor and a Kai'Sa. I can understand you being like, well, we don't want to let them get to 2-3 items, but there's no point forcing when you have a Drake and a Rift Hold up in the next 30 seconds anyway.
Yeah, and you know, Canna, credit to him, is holding this bot lane matchup well enough. Do you say that? Malrang is giving a visit to bot side, so he'll have to back off from that turret. Looks like we are having a split map. Vladi using those 3 grubs top side, getting some gold for themselves. Other side, see how quickly Adam can return fire from the bot lane turret.
You can see Canna, just backs off immediately, and Adam should be able to take that tower. He's got the Triforce complete. Sheen proc with the last rites. Not quite enough. Dark Procession coming out. Canna being very greedy here. Stepping up, and he didn't know where the enemy jungler was at all. That was good from Adam and from Malrang. Malrang staying around even after the tower was low, but a little greedy from Canna being that far forward.
Little unnecessary. You've just taken mid and top lane out of turrets. You are winning on the map. The tower's going down anyway. I know it feels a little bit bad to give that advantage over towards the Yorick, but you're fine in a compositional standpoint. Herald will still be taken by KC as well. They lose the Jayce. Yeah, not a great thing, but across the rest of the map, wins for them.
Canna not going to be worth too much gold right now either.
True.
So it's not the end of the world, but it was just really greedy for a wave. You're never going to keep that tower standing with Adam already pounding on it. You lose the Drake towards this bottom side as well. It's the second dragon of the game over to Rogue, but you do have the Rift Hold. You have the opportunity to try and crack through that mid-tier 2. Vault Breaker was just used into the quickness. Gravity Well going down as well as Yike will be Dark Procession, in fact, as Gravity Well nowhere near. Larssen was up towards the top side, but Yike was able to get out, steal away a couple of those minions.
Flash down on Yike, though, for just the ultimate of Execute. Nice, keeps your carries a little bit safer in the next few minutes of play. Execute takes a lot of damage from Canada. So what's happening on the rest of the map? Let's have a look-see, shall we? Lots of vision defensively for Rogue, because they can't really go that much further beyond the river. Waves are all pushing in towards Rogue's side of the map, so KC, good presence pretty much everywhere. See how much they can keep that up, and they use the Herald now to push their advantage.
The push from Vladi and from Yike is an easy enough tier 2 for Karmine Corp. One of the reasons like Canna might poke and prod onto Execute there is to just draw people to that point of the map. It's like, oh hey, maybe we're fighting here. And it's like, actually, we never wanted to fight here. In fact, we were always looking for bot lane tier 2. It was a ruse. I outsmarted you, outsmarting. Oh.
Aha, the next level, as Papa would say.
They managed to take the tower. Lots of ghouls here going to push forward. Vladi all on his lonesome, really needs to back away with Rogue making a beeline towards his current location. Spotted on a control ward. You can just walk away, pick up the petals on the way.
Did you ever play much Arena while I was... Oh, it says
yeah, I played a bunch.
Yeah. Did you see Yorick with Minion Mancer, so it increases the size of the summons by like 60%?
Oh, it's so strong.
That's one big maiden.
Yep.
She's scary. I think one of the scary ones was Neferi, where the dogs are actually bigger than Neferi herself at that point. He doesn't have a big maiden this time, though. Gets the E onto him.
There's a maiden nearby, but she has to take the long route round, and Adam realizes he's currently maidenless. The maiden will come in after he dies, and will follow suit. You do see that sometimes when the person you love dies, often you follow not so shortly afterwards.
So topically, Rogue's silver lining has been a bit tarnished.
Yes, oh my god. Just get all the Elden Ring references
I get
in
like
while we
2
go.
of them. No, it goes up towards Barrett. Let me solo them. Adam, he has to be doing a lot of work this game. Dying like that in a side lane joke side is very important. KC still have themselves the lightning crash from a very, very fed 2 items area as well.
Going in, Malrang dashing forward as well. Crescent Guard out, there's the quickness as well from Execute. Will get the knockup. Larssen coming in with the Arcane Storm available, but won't pop it. Puts the gravity well down. Karmine Corp stealing away the red once again. Adam TP'd into the mid lane. Not as much of a champion as he'd like to be without his Maiden, although Yorick is a little bit more powerful in his own right than he used to be. You do still want the Maiden for fights.
Absolutely. It's a long cooldown. It's a big thing as well. When you do, sometimes you get a win against him just by killing that Maiden. By dying, of course, it desummons it. Anyway, and we have to see a continuation of KC just full court pressing.
Oh, Patrik! Killer Instinct onto Caliste here. Caliste pops the barrier. Yike coming in from the side as well. Vladi then flanks. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna say the Killer Instinct was suboptimal.
Maybe feeling a little bit pressured by having every single lane pushed into them for the last, 4 or 5 minutes at this point, but that still doesn't make that play particularly high value. Adam couldn't finish off
it was high value, just for Karmine Corp.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you'd like to try and avoid them if at all possible. Yeah. Rogue, much like the last game, you reach this point in the game, probably just around, 17 minutes last game, probably around that same time point here. I don't think they realize where they're at threat on the map. I don't think they're cleanly placing together plays. I understand that they're under pressure. They do need to get resources somewhere. One of the biggest problems of losing all of these lane pressure is that you're also losing the jungle camps as well. So you're losing bleeding out small gold advantages over time. That doesn't make the plays they're making successful. It doesn't make them the right plays. But I understand the mindset of having to force something because it feels so bad being in this state.
Especially you're bleeding at so many different positions on bleeding goals in so many different positions on the map. Caliste has 2,500 gold lead. Yike has a 2,000 gold lead. For Rogue, obviously sitting at 2 and 5. Even if they lose this series, they're not mathematically out of playoffs. There are 8 out of a possible 1,024 scenarios in which they would get a tiebreaker game.
That's a lot of numbers.
Yeah. So Rogue can still make it technically if they lose this game. It is incredibly unlikely that they do so. Everything would have to fall in their favor. Caliste gliding away from Execute there as he surfs across that little bit of terrain. The flank is happening here from Vladi. Patrik spots him though as he tries to get around. Canna landing a shot blast as Karmine Corp have started up the Rakan. They'll still give you that magic and armor shred if you tank it up, so they want to be a little bit cautious. Yike goes in, punches the Maiden, the engage from Execute with a lightning crash, and Canna's follow-up is sublime. Vladi diving in as well, as Malrang is the second target for Karmine Corp. They find 2, oh my god, Vladi's damage is insanity! He kills off Patrik. Larssen, the one he's chasing down now. The shot blast not quite enough as Caliste will eventually kill Adam. That was, well, it was great play from Vladi, but that was a huge DPS boost.
I mean, that's just not safe for human consumption at that point. Take it off the air. The R2 getting a huge amount of damage towards the back end of that play. I don't think Rogue make the wrong decision to push in through the bot side. Going through Tribrush was unplayable, but they don't catch the carries here. If you need to go through this choke point, you must hit the Zeri. You probably have to hit the Akali as well. You have to get some of this damage down, because they don't, the front line immediately evaporates. You have no one to protect you from the Akali, which does just, frankly, obscene amounts of damage.
Yeah, I was not expecting him to half HP. Larssen in to take down Patrik.
That's how they get
quickly.
You.
Yeah, well, it's just the unexpected Akali is the deadliest, apparently. It's just an assassin for a reason. 5,000 damage in that last play. Caliste as well, topping the damage charts on this Zeri, but he has been consistently ahead this game, whereas Vladi's kind of been even-ish, like, a few hundred gold ahead. Now 1.4k in the advantage. 8,000 gold lead for Karmine Corp as they open up the map once again. Almost 3 items on Caliste.
I'm going to say that I'm going to hold Rogue fans' hands gently when I say this. I don't think the Yorick's carrying this game.
No?
He's
ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think it's by enough, Medic. Just a little. I think it's a little bit teensy. See if he can get anything done. But Casey, really good job managing side lanes to make sure that Adam has never managed to take over this game through a side lane. It has been about them finding the picks, punishing the front line of Rogue, and denying so many just random bits and pieces of gold from Rogue over time, bleeding them out.
Ultra Shock plays into Shock Blast, gets Patrik down to 1/3 of his HP. Karmine Corp will take another tier 2. Second of the game. Canna's pushing through mid. There's a wave on its way, and you can see Karmine Corp take the quick route through the jungle to try and take down another turret. Shouldn't be too much for them to do. Execute, oh, he's flanking. Here's the problem, Execute, my boy, my man. There's no one there to follow up. He jumps away with the grand entrance and does manage to dance away with the battle dance, but the flank was a flunk.
Yeah, it reminded me of a very, the way you said that reminded me of a very niche SpongeBob meme. SpongeBob me, Bob. That's not a flank at all. Not sure how to follow. I'm sorry.
At least we're having fun, even if Rogue perhaps are not.
Oh god! I mean,
in this game.
The thing which makes me really, it is tragic for Rogue. They've had some good series. They took a series, I think, after a very difficult start against SK, against Vitality. They were good wins in those series.
Yeah.
For the level of play that they've shown, sadly, throughout this split. They had a good start to the early game against KC. They're sadly at a point now where this really is last chance saloon. They're not mathematically eliminated if they lose this, as we've gone through many times beyond this point, but it is a tiny team like Rogue, which has had a long legacy in the LEC. Sadly, the recent days have been hard for them.
Yeah.
I wanted to see them be more proactive. I think they have done that, but the success has just not quite followed.
It has not. For Karmine Corp's success is following them all the way from winter. Winners of the split there, went to first stand, made it to the finals. Argue however you want about the format, but they are continuing to sit atop the LEC. Fnatic the only ones ahead of them right now, but Fnatic have played a couple of extra games. Execute goes in with the quickness and immediately is chunked out. The Ignite won't be enough. Ultra Laser goes wide, so Execute is able to walk away.
Ult down, Execute not able to land that on the target. Caliste has been so hard to catch. Very good on that Zeri pick. What's happening on the rest of the map? Canna's making his way up. KC, do they smell something here? Maybe.
I mean, whatever they smelt, they decided they didn't need to investigate any further. There's a Baron in 5 seconds. They can play for that. Always the risk of getting Rogue back into the game by misplaying around a Baron, but Karmine Corp have been pretty good with their vision setup around it. You can see ward here, ward here, ward here. I mean, that ward that I initially pointed out was cleared out, but they have enough vision around it that they can see Malrang as he steps forward in the jungle. Execute goes in, and again, the grand entrance is purely ceremonial. Doesn't quite land the knocker. Malrang dashes forward. Shot Blast is going to connect. Cease and desist onto the backline. Knocks Malrang back. There's the lightning crash. And it might be done without a Baron even needing to be slain. Execute flashes away, but the rest of his team cannot escape the clutches of Vladi. A double for the Akali. Caliste dives in onto Adam. He'll fall as well. Karmine Corp find 4. The only one still standing is Execute.
Teleport to the bot side from Canna as well. He kills threats very quickly with this build, by the way, with the lethality. It's like Rogue just weren't even there on top side. KC starve out vision and camps and gold, and they've bled out too much now of Rogue. They try and contest for a brief moment, they had no leg to stand on.
And it looks like Karmine Corp don't think they can end off this push. It is shortish. Death timer's only 26 minutes into the game, so they'll go double inhib, or at least inhib tower and a single inhib. You can see Caliste and Yike on your minimap are doing the Baron, so should be able to secure this one without any real contest from Rogue. Malrang's running down on the bottom side. It would be a mammoth task if somehow he manages to steal this. Obviously impossible. Karmine Corp will take the Baron. Rogue still chasing.
They are really trying to chase for something here. I think Larssen thinks, yeah, you're not getting away from that guy.
Sometimes you got to get the chickens.
Sometimes, you know? Sometimes you got to, for science. Victor would approve.
Yep.
Science. Get something there. Yeah, like, yeah, we've been denied all our jungle camps for the last, like, 15 minutes at this point. Let's get one back. Dragon spawns. Rogue are on the bottom side of the map, but, I mean, Vladi is back into the play. KC back in there. And, yeah, he's flanking, and that is a dangerous angle.
Unseen Vladi is the deadliest. Malrang jumps in, double knock-up as well. The follow-up, though, from Vladi and Patrik is Pop Trick as Execute the next target. Perfect execution here from Karmine Corp and perfect execution from Vladi. Even manages to land the Proto Belt at the end. Karmine Corp once again find 4. Adam, I mean, you're on vision, my dude. You're spotted out. Actually, maybe hugging the wall means that he isn't seen. Canna and Vladi will make the march to the Nexus as Karmine Corp will secure their 6th win of spring and a spot at the top of the table.
KC came in today with a couple of worries about them. A couple of series just before the break. It felt like they weren't clean, they were falling behind in the early game. Of course, against Rogue, they wanted to show their best side. I think they snowballed magnificently.
That they did. Game 2 much cleaner than Game 1, but still a solid performance from Karmine Corp. For Rogue, commiserations. their hopes very much not in their hands. One more series for them to play on the last day of the split. Karmine Corp, the future is bright, the future is blue, it seems.
It's a very good slogan. I like that. The future is blue. Yeah.
I stole it from the future is orange.
Yeah, I did know that. Yeah.
You know, the adverts?
You know, sometimes they do a good job of them, don't they? Casey, really solid series of closing these games. I really appreciated how they shut down the win conditions of the other team. They seized the opportunities when they had them, and their objective setup when they're ahead of the game was very, very lethal.
Yeah, you can vote one of them, your key player of the series. Vote Yike, Vladi, and Caliste are your options. Vladi, great game 2. Yike, great game 1 and 2, in my opinion.